Hey everybody, back at you again, Jamie and Barry, as we come and conclude April. We talked about diversity and inclusion. We're going to continue to talk about it here in a second, but welcome to Motivated Matters. Hope everybody's in a good place, in a safe space this April 26th. We spent the last few weeks with Dr. Jean-Hess. Thank you so much. I've loved spending time with Dr. Jean. She shared with us some really awesome topics, as she is not only a PhD in special education, she is a mom of a special needs or autistic child, and she just knows a whole lot of experience. She's a whole kit and caboodle. So we really have enjoyed having her with us, and we're going to wrap this thing up. But before we do that, we always have to make sure that we give props to our sponsorship, ExecuMask. Here I'm celebrating one of their spring bling lineups. This one called Ocean, for my Billy Ocean fans out there. It's a really special, nice and light print for the spring. I think you should check it out. You see how we rocking it with the chocolate suit. It's a very nice blend for the spring and the summer. So if you didn't get a chance, again, we want you to go back and check out the first two episodes. The first episode, we talked about just what is autism and what does it mean, and what is the whole transition from Autism Awareness Month to Autism Acceptance Month. If you didn't get a chance to watch last week's episode, we really talked about what does it mean as a parent to deal with certain aspects of autism and having parenting an autistic child. So really go check that one out. She really dropped some really key nuggets in the importance of just understanding what it's like to be a mom, right? Or even a dad. You go through grieving, as you see your child transition through, as autism becomes more and more prevalent in their life. So imagine being in her shoes. Also the stigma that society brings to her or him. Think about those things. It's really interesting. And the last piece that Dr. Jean was very passionate about, don't say you understand, because you don't. You can't walk in her shoes, so don't act like you can. So we're going to dovetail to this next topic today. We're going to talk about what does it mean to be a grown-up with autism. And I think she's going to drop some really key nuggets again for us today as we wrap up this month. So please take it away, Doc.
I am so glad to be here with you again, Jamie, and this has been really awesome.
It has.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience and help them be more aware and have more acceptance around autism in general, but bigger than that, individuals with disabilities. My son is very fond of saying that if he could say anything to somebody who needed more insight, it would be that he has autism. Now, autism is part of who he is. It doesn't mean he doesn't have feelings, and it doesn't mean that he isn't smart. He just has autism. And I really like that. And an awful lot of the people that I know who are adults with autism feel the same way. Some want to get rid of the autism, some embrace the autism as part of who they are. And so that's a struggle that adults with autism face. And I think that sometimes we have two very different groups of people who are adults with autism. My son will never live on his own. And so and he's chosen that. Might have taken a different path, but that's the path that he's chosen. And so part of that, as his mom, now I have to figure out, okay, so what can he do? Where can he live? Because he's not going to live with me the rest of his life. A, I don't want him to. And B, he doesn't want to either.
Okay.
And so we look at the options that are available. There are some more supported living spaces, group homes, other sorts of arrangements that can be made. But in the state of Illinois, the average wait time for an adult who wants to be in a group home situation or a supported living situation is 14 years.
14 years.
14-year average.
14 years. And Alex is about to be 24?
Yes.
So this means you would have had to apply when he was 10?
You can't. You don't get to go on to the list until they turn 18, Asian majority. So we've got 6 years in and no end in sight. So that's one of the things that happens for adults with autism. Depending, again, it's a spectrum. And so on that spectrum, everybody from really severe individuals who need lots of ongoing support, physical needs, feeding needs, dressing needs, that whole group here. There's a group like my son who is moderately able to do things. He can have a job. He doesn't right now. The pandemic has certainly hindered those opportunities for him. It doesn't mean that he can't have a job, but he is choosing not to pursue that right now. And he needs a supported living environment so that he can be the best he can be. And then I have other friends who have kids that are going off to college, and they absolutely know that they're going to be independent with their autism, but they're going to go out and I have a friend named Jack, and Jack's the one I have in mind. And he's going to go start college this coming fall, and he's really excited about that, and he's excited to have a job. He's worried about finding a job, a place, a job environment that's going to accept him the way that he is. And so that's another thing that I would like to talk to your viewers about.
Yeah. She brings up, she packed up so much information in that little segment right there alone. I wanted to keep going. But you bring up a great point. In the workplace, we talk about diversity and inclusion, right? This falls under that umbrella as well. So where are we going wrong in the workplace, and how do we, correct that, in your opinion?
I don't know if it's wrong. I think it's a lack of awareness and acceptance, right? First awareness, and then acceptance. And so if we have an awareness that 1 to 2% of the population has autism, and it's a larger population in general that has a disability. So anything that I'm going to say right now will meet the needs of any individual who has disabilities. First of all, there's the American with Disabilities Act. Employers are required to meet the needs of individuals who have disabilities. Do I look like I have a disability?
No.
But I do. I have to have a special chair. I have to have a special mouse. And you have accommodated me. People on camera can't see it. But you have had to accommodate me in order for me to be comfortable to do this interview. Employers have to do the same. Law. So let's talk about individuals with autism specifically. There are lots of places who recognize that individuals with autism have a special place in their company. Because, remember I talked to you in the first segment about repetitive behaviors. So if you find their area of interest and you can give them a job that accentuates their area of interest, they will be the loyalist, most hard-working employee that you can bring into your company because you have found their niche, their sweet spot. I'll give Jack as an example. He loves to draw. He's very good at drawing. He wants to go into graphic design. If he can find a graphic design firm that can work with him, he's golden. And that company has now found somebody who will be amazingly loyal to them as an employer. So here's the trick. There are lots of companies that are realizing that you can't do a traditional interview with somebody who has autism or some other disabilities. And here's why. Autism isn't just autism. Lots of times autism is autism and ADHD, autism and anxiety, autism and depression, autism and there's an alphabet soup of things. It's not just one. It can very often be a whole bunch of other things. And so put somebody with autism and ADHD or anxiety in an interview situation and it's not going to go well at all. So lots of companies are now finding ways to do an interview process that's more like a performance event. So put the individual with autism into a situation in which they're in control. And let them be, right? And so often it's a multi-day or even multi-week opportunity for that person to come in and show what they can do. Can they be part of an active team? Can they buddy up with somebody who understands a little bit more than maybe some of the other people, or if they have a safe person that they can go to if they don't understand an office policy or an HR policy or a project question. So how do you make that an easier transition for them? Transitions aren't easy for individuals with autism.
So it's almost like a courting process. Like they give a couple of weeks to. That is
Those are the most successful companies. They onboard individuals with autism very differently than they do neurotypicals. That's what we call help people who don't have autism.
Okay.
So it's pretty interesting. So that's one way. Another way is to ask the individual with autism what they need in order to be successful. So what supports do they need? Do they need music? Do they need bright light? Do they need less light? Do they need to be able to have fidgets or some other thing that helps them? I know for my son, he does like 5 things simultaneously, and people don't think that he's paying any attention, but he can tell you everything that's said in the conversation, on the TV, in this other conversation over here.
Really?
He takes in so much information and processes it differently than we do. And the best way to ask him what he needs is to simply ask.
Right.
If you want to know what he knows what his needs are. He's almost 24 years old.
Right.
He's lived with this long enough to know what he needs. And so anybody hiring someone with autism, have the conversation, but have the conversation in a way that's invitational. Don't make them feel like you're doing a checklist in order to figure out whether or not they're going to be okay in your space. But so, how can I help you? What do you need in order to do your best work? What environment do you need? Do you need to be close to people? Do you need to be further away? Is that something you can do in your company?
Goodness. This is huge. This is huge information. Are you like, I'm thinking like, who's providing that training to organizations? Like, you need to think about that. I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking like out loud, but like, there's a need for people like you with your skill sets to offer that service to professional organizations because they don't know.
True, they don't.
So you gotta promise you come back when you're like, on top of the world and you're doing this as a service. But thank you, Doc. Thank you. I know we could go on and on and on. This has been such a rich episode series. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared. I think in this last video, she shared some of the intricacies and dynamics that go on. You have to think about as being a grown-up with autism, and how are you dealing with that and certain things that you need to think about as you are receiving these individuals in the workplace, and how are you interacting with them and providing levels of comfort so that they can be successful. I think that's very important. We all have our differences. We all are unique in our own special way. And under this diversity and inclusion umbrella, we have to think holistically about that. So thank you for this month. I look forward to seeing you next month. Dr. Jean, you are more than welcome to come visit at any time. And thank you so much for sharing all the information that you shared. I look forward to seeing you all. This is important, Motivated Matter topics. You'll get more of this as we continue to grow and go. Take care, everybody. We look to see you soon. Motivated Matters. Have a wonderful week. This message has been brought to you and sponsored by ExecuMass. Find us at www.execumass.com.